Stop using raw cow dung. Transform it into super compost that grows plants fast. If you've ever wandered through a garden thinking that fresh cow dung is the ultimate natural fertilizer, you're not alone. Many gardeners, myself included in the early days of my gardening journey, grew up believing that raw cow manure was a magical soil booster. We imagined it feeding our plants with a golden touch, transforming every leaf and flower into a lush masterpiece. But here's the truth that many gardeners only realize too late: using raw cow dung directly on your plants can actually do more harm than good. Fresh cow dung is alive with active bacteria, methane gas, and extremely high levels of nitrogen. While these compounds are what make it rich in nutrients, when applied directly to plant roots, they can burn and stress your plants instead of nourishing them. Ammonia and heat released during the decomposition process can damage roots, upset the delicate microbial balance in your soil, and even invite pests and harmful fungi. For gardeners who truly love their soil, this is the exact opposite of what we want. But here's the good news: cow dung itself is not the enemy. The timing and method of its use are what make all the difference. When properly decomposed and turned into mature compost, cow dung becomes one of the most nourishing organic fertilizers available. It transforms into a dark, crumbly, nutrient-rich material packed with beneficial microorganisms that help plants grow stronger, healthier, and more resilient. On Soil Power, I'm here to walk you through the process of transforming raw cow dung into powerful organic compost that will literally change the way your garden grows. Why fresh cow dung can be dangerous for your plants. Let's start by understanding what's really going on inside fresh cow dung. When it's still raw, it's in a highly active state of decomposition. Billions of microbes are working overtime to break down organic matter. In the process, they release methane gas, ammonia, and an incredible amount of heat. You may have even noticed steam rising from a fresh manure pile. That's a sign of this intense microbial activity. Placing raw cow dung directly onto your garden bed can, well, shock your soil ecosystem. The ammonia burns tender roots, the excessive nitrogen disrupts nutrient balance, and the existing beneficial microbes in your soil just can't survive the sudden chemical and thermal stress. What was meant to nourish your plants actually becomes a root killer. Traditional farmers understood this instinctively. They would let manure piles sit for months, allowing them to mature into dark, crumbly, odor-free compost ready to safely feed the soil. Properly decomposed cow dung releases harmful gases harmlessly into the air while multiplying beneficial bacteria. Nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium stabilize into forms your plants can absorb gradually rather than overwhelming them all at once. The result is compost that smells earthy, feels rich, and supports soil life rather than destroying it. If you've been spreading fresh cow dung around your plants and wondering why leaves are yellowing or curling now, you know, your plants were trying to survive, not thrive. Now that we understand why raw cow dung isn't the answer, let's talk about creating the perfect environment to transform it into something extraordinary. The first step is choosing the right space for composting. And here's the best part: you don't need a large farm or backyard. Even a small, well-organized setup can produce compost that transforms your garden. If you have a backyard, pick a shaded or semi-shaded area that is protected from heavy rain and direct sun. Composting thrives in balance. Too hot, too cold, or too wet slows down decomposition. A corner under a tree or beside a wall works perfectly. For those in apartments, don't worry, you can compost in large plastic buckets, old fertilizer sacks, or even a small chamber made of bricks or wooden planks. The key is airflow. Microbes need oxygen to thrive, so ensure your setup allows air circulation while preventing excess water from pooling. Think of your compost area as a living habitat. Airflow keeps microorganisms breathing, drainage prevents rot, and shade maintains the ideal temperature for decomposition. Line the base with a plastic sheet or tarp to prevent nutrient loss and keep things tidy. A medium-sized pit or container, about 2 feet deep and 3 feet wide, is enough to hold several layers of compost ingredients, which we'll cover next. Here's where the magic begins: building your compost layer by layer. Think of it like making a lasagna, where each layer plays a critical role. Start with a 3 to 4 inch base of dry material, such as dried leaves, straw, shredded paper, or small sticks. This layer allows air to move freely and prevents the bottom from becoming soggy. Next, spread a 3 to 4 inch layer of cow dung for small pits, or up to 6 inches for larger setups. This is your nitrogen-rich layer, the energy source for the microbes that will transform raw dung into compost. But, raw dung is just too strong for your plants at this stage, so we need to support microbial activity. Create a simple decomposer mixture at home by combining 2 kilograms of garden soil with 200 grams of jaggery or unsulfured molasses and 200 grams of gram flour. Add about 2 liters of water to form a thick paste. This mixture feeds the microbes. Jaggery provides quick energy, gram flour offers protein, and the soil brings dormant bacteria to life. Now, sprinkle 2 generous handfuls of this decomposer over each cow dung layer. To balance moisture, add a thin layer of rice husks, wheat bran, or sawdust on top. These dry materials absorb excess liquid, preventing a sticky, smelly pile. Repeat this layering process, dry material, cow dung, decomposer, moisture absorber, until your container is full. What you're creating isn't just a pile, it's actually a living ecosystem. Within weeks, it will become warm, rich, and teeming with life that converts waste into nourishment. Once your layers are built, your role shifts from construction to care. Composting is alive, and like all living things, it thrives on proper air, moisture, and warmth. The compost should feel like a wrung-out sponge, damp but not soggy. Too dry slows microbial activity while too wet suffocates the microbes. Check your pile every 10 to 15 days. If it crumbles like dust, sprinkle water. If it feels sticky or heavy, mix in more dry leaves or rice husks. You can also pour a diluted solution of your decomposer mix, 1 part decomposer to 3 parts water, directly onto the pile to rejuvenate microbes if activity slows. Cover your compost with breathable material, like a jute sack or cardboard, to retain warmth and moisture while keeping pests away. Avoid plastic sheets that trap heat and block airflow. If you're on a terrace or balcony, place it near shade and protect from heavy sun or rain. Everything ray pensify. Would at sonderwin in stolendry. Weeks. Turn the compost gently with a stick or small shovel to introduce fresh oxygen. This helps decomposition happen evenly, prevents foul odors, and keeps the microbes happy. The transformation process is, honestly, pretty fascinating. In the first couple of weeks, the compost emits this mild, earthy scent, and you'll notice warmth rising from the pile, which is a sure sign of peak microbial activity. If it ever starts to smell strongly of ammonia, just add more dry leaves or straw and give the pile a good turn to restore balance. By the 4th week, the color darkens, and all those materials start blending into a cohesive, rich texture. You might even spot earthworms moving in, further enriching the compost. So, around 45 to 60 days in, that strong manure smell disappears and gets replaced by the comforting scent of rain-soaked soil. The texture turns crumbly and soft, and the color deepens to a dark brown or even black. These are all signs your compost is ready. Patience is really essential here, because immature compost can actually harm your plants. Once it's ready, you'll have a pure, living fertilizer that improves your soil structure, moisture retention, and microbial health. Mature compost doesn't just feed your plants, it actually transforms your soil. For planting, mix 1 part compost with 2 parts garden soil. For existing plants, just spread a 1-inch layer around the base and gently mix it into the topsoil. Be sure to avoid piling compost against stems, so roots can breathe. Finally, water lightly to help those nutrients absorb. Compost slowly releases nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and trace minerals like calcium and magnesium. Plants receive steady nutrition without the risk of nutrient shock. Tomato plants flourish with lush vines, flowers bloom in vibrant colors, and, indoor potted plants revive with just a handful of rich, crumbly compost. You can even make compost tea. Just mix 1 cup of cow dung compost in a gallon of water, let it steep for 1 to 2 days, and use it as a liquid feed for vegetables, herbs, and flowers. This method provides a quick nutrient boost, especially for container plants. Even experienced gardeners can make errors. Avoid adding meat, dairy, or oily scraps. They attract pests and harmful bacteria. Don't seal your compost too tightly. Microbes need oxygen. Keep moisture balanced, turning the pile occasionally to maintain airflow. Avoid using compost too early. Immature compost can burn plants. By addressing these issues, your compost will mature faster, smell better, and, honestly, produce exceptional results. Composting isn't magic, it's science. As cow dung decomposes, billions of microorganisms, including bacteria, fungi, and actinomycetes, break down organic matter into simpler compounds your plants can absorb. Heat-loving microbes destroy pathogens and weed seeds. Earthworms and fungi refine the compost, producing rich humus. This living mixture improves soil structure, moisture retention, and introduces a protective microbial network. Beyond benefiting your garden, composting reduces methane emissions, stores carbon in the soil, and helps the environment. Each handful of compost represents a small act of ecological stewardship. Composting rhythm changes with the seasons. Spring and summer accelerate decomposition, maintain moisture during hot months. Fall provides abundant carbon-rich materials from leaves and trimmings. Winter slows microbial activity, but insulation and a few earthworms can keep the process steady. Indoor or balcony composting is possible with airflow, moisture control, and insulation. Consistency, attention, and patience make composting successful year-round. Beyond compost, there are some real eco-benefits to consider. Proper composting reduces greenhouse gas emissions, prevents chemical fertilizer dependency, and rebuilds soil health. Each handful of compost, honestly, turns what could be waste into life-sustaining material. Composting connects us to nature's cycles, teaches patience, and really promotes environmental responsibility. And when we share these techniques with younger generations, we help them learn sustainable gardening practices and soil stewardship. From waste to wisdom, if there's one takeaway, it's this: stop using raw cow dung directly. Give it time, give it some air, and allow nature to work its magic. Mature compost nourishes plants, revitalizes soil, and supports a thriving ecosystem. By composting, you create life from waste, improving your garden, your soil, and honestly, the planet too. Your garden will flourish like never before. Your soil will become richer, more resilient, and alive. And through this simple, mindful act, your relationship with the earth really deepens. Next time you see a pile of cow dung, see potential, not waste. With care and patience, something extraordinary emerges. If this article inspired you, go ahead and share it with fellow gardeners, and subscribe to Soil Power for more practical, evergreen gardening wisdom. Together, we can cultivate thriving gardens and a healthier planet, one handful of compost at a time.